Hello, my name is Connor Schaaf, and welcome to my Prototype 2 submission for my game, The Trials of the Arcan Academy. Today, I'm going to be pretty much going over all of the progress I've made up to this point, but specifically focusing on all the scripting elements of the game for today, because that is really what this submission is all about. I am not today going to do a full gameplay or a game playthrough or anything because for two reasons. First of all, it'll take way too long. And second of all, I really wanted to focus on now that I have the new map, which we'll take a look at in a little bit here. I wanted to really focus on being able to hone in the story through that map, and I just didn't have enough time in 2 days to do that. But all scripting elements for the game are pretty much complete at this point. So we'll be able to just build out that story with these elements that already exist. So, I first want to just quickly show off in the white box. I'm not going to go through much of the white box itself because I talked about that in my last submission. Um, so ignore the lighting here. There's a different shading package for the main map, so it kind of screwed up this. But the big thing I want to show you here is we now have this nice little, you'll see the arrow under the bird that tells you where your next mission is at all times. So no matter where you are pointed, it will point you in the direction of that next mission. You can also see in this area, it also tells you your next objective as well as the current room you're in. So you go through here, and it'll change over to that room and keep following around the waypoint. So you'll be able to much easier find your missions than you were before. So that's really all I wanted to show there. But let's get into really the nitty gritty of what I want to focus on today. That being all the updates I made, especially regarding combat and the pre-combat trials. I can tell you that now all 7 spells in the game are done, and the 4 pre-combat trials are also done. Something that we can take a look at here is that as you hover over, and no idea why that just happened there. I think that's what I get for I don't even know how I managed to do that. I'll have to look into that. That is but as you click on an object that is, or as you hover over an object that is interactable, you will be able to see an outline of that object. An object that is not interactable, like this turret here, you cannot. So when you see this outline, it'll show you that it is able to be interacted with. It also seems like there's a little bit of a bug here with this. I promise you, I did quite a bit of testing on this and it actually worked fine. So I'm not sure how that even happened because now, yeah, now we're doing it again. And okay, so there's clearly the first object that gets highlighted seems to have a bit of an issue going away. So I'll make sure to take a look at that for sure. There's always going to be bugs. But really what I want to focus on here is actually going through and showing you how all of these work. So the first thing that you're going to see immediately is that when we get into this, we are going to have these giant projectiles that will be coming at you. In the actual game, the player is going to be here in a room where they will have no ability to avoid these, and they're going to have to run and run and run and get past the turret where they're moving to the combat will be behind it. But you can see the bullet always follows the player around. There's no way of avoiding it. The one way to avoid it is to use the voice of command spell. So this is actually the final pre-combat trial in the game. The last mission does not have a pre-combat trial because it is the final boss, so it didn't really fit in my mind to create one for it. But you can go through this and continue to uh, use the spell so that you don't end up taking the damage, and you would end up taking the damage that you take into the fight. So it's essential for the player to not uh, lose as much health as they can. Um, I had 20 of these, so I need to get through all of them, or else they're just going to be following me around while I go through these other three. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so next one we're going to move on to is this one here. So you have uh, these two objects here. Definitely seems like there is quite a bit of bugginess going on with. I'll have to honestly, I thought it was working pretty well, but I definitely do need to put some more work into. But pretty much what you can do here is so this is pretty much going to be a maze where you use the spell True Sight. This will be the third pre-combat trial, and there will be uh, walls that you can't break through, like this one. So I press on True Sight, and you can't break through it. But then you go over to this one, and you can break through it. Uh, then this one over here, this will be the first pre-combat trial. So this one, you have this kind of oh, all of a sudden now it's fixed itself again. You have this wall that'll move up, but the second you get close to it, it will move back down. So to stop it, you have to use while you're looking at the door, use the spell Motion Bind to get past it. Same thing with this one. So then it will stay up. And you can see here when the player is not hovered over it, if they use it, then it will go back down. So you do have to press the spell and then it will work. So then next up we have the this is the final one here. This one is pretty simple. Pretty much in the end, there's just going to be 3 of these bushes. I kind of like in my head want them to be like growing plants or something. I have no idea how to actually do that, but you can see here you have to use the contract spell, which takes away 30 health from the player. In the end, they are actually only going to be left on 10 health. So the idea there is that there is that uh you can't mess up. You can't use the blood contract spell and miss, because if you do, you are going to die. So now let's move over to the combat as well. I have all of there are 6 enemies in this game. I'm not going to go through all 6 of them for you, but we will go through a couple here. We'll start with the tutorial boss just to show it off. Obviously, in principle, not all 7 spells will be unlocked, but we're not in an actual mission, so there's not really a way for me to implement that. I could do it through which enemy the player's facing, but I don't really want to limit myself if I do end up wanting to move them around. But you end up having the minor ignition and the shield defense spells available, so you can use this one. And you can see here that each combat that the enemy does has their own name that I made for it. I want to figure out a good way for how I can make that more prevalent in the game. Not too sure how I want to do that right now, but we are going to just try and take this down. Oh my gosh, I lost. That is horrible. Okay, let's try one more time. Well, I'll actually go ahead and move on to the next one. So we'll go ahead and do the trial 1 boss as well. So, I'm not sure why there's not a mesh here. That is bizarre. Let's see. That is very bizarre because the boss itself does have a. I know exactly why, because I used the C++ class. That actually leads me into a good point that that all of these enemies were done using C++. That's what I'll end up using for my C++ submission. Obviously, for the final product, the character is going to be facing the enemy. I just don't want to do that now when I don't know where exactly the combat room is going to be in the main game itself or in the main map itself. So you unlock the motion bind spell for this. Really, in my mind, what it's best used for is to limit your shield defense cooldown. And now we're just going to try and run through this as quick as possible. Something hopefully we'll see here is that the player actually can miss their they can their spells can miss. So they have a 90% chance of hitting. So there is a chance it misses. The True Sight spell does uh the True Sight spell does increase that accuracy to 100, but also some of the bosses do lessen that accuracy. Don't ask me why the final boss right now is a fantasy woman when it's meant to be a male headmaster, but uh, I I'm really struggling to find a what's the right word, a mesh for a wizard teacher. It's very difficult to find. Um, but as you can see, something else that I've implemented here is that some of the enemies do true damage to you, so they ignore the defense. Um, so we're just gonna keep going through this. I'm hoping that I can show off that you can miss a spell, and then showing off the voice of command as well. That does 35 damage and prevents the player from it stuns them for 1 turn, and we lose there. So let's see if I can do one more and show that you can actually miss. Um, but it does take a little bit of skill to make it happen because I that is crazy. Maybe third time's the charm. Let's make this happen. But uh but so now all 6 enemies are implemented into the game. So there we go. Player spell failed. So the player was not able to their spell just did not cast. Using True Sight though makes it impossible for the spell to miss. So that is something to consider. And I lost again because I'm not trying to win. But so that's pretty much everything regarding scripting wise. So all of the pre-combat trials as well as the combat enemies are implemented. I will definitely make sure to take a look at why there are some situations that it is not quite working. I did want to show you that this is where I am using the dot product, which is unfortunate because it doesn't seem like it's quite working right. But here, if we go into, it's in third person blueprint. Uh, right here, you can see the dot product being used. It's pretty much a second check for whether the player's looking at it. Clearly, it's not. It can be better because the player is ending up looking at things that they shouldn't actually be able to look at more than one thing at once. So my assumption is that there's somewhere that this on focus end is not being called and is making it not go away. So that would be my best guess. But I just wanted to show you that the dot product is being used, and that will lead us into our final thing where I'm just going to quickly show off the map. This isn't really going to show anything too special off outside of 2 things. First, showing that the map exists, and second, just showing the map, the mini map that I implemented that that is kind of best shown within this map. It does take a second to load here, so just to quickly go over plans for the rest of the project. Really, the big thing for me is putting it all together and to create the story out of it. Obviously, there are a few bug things I have to fix. A couple of like things where there is print strings that there shouldn't be. I tried to go through and get rid of as many as I could, but it still seems like there are a couple. And really just making this into a completed product at this point. I think that I've definitely put a lot of work into this project, so there is still a little bit more to do. But let's quickly just show off this. You can see here when you go into the game, it is a little bit laggy, but you can see, and I will full screen this if I can. Might not let me. There we go. You can see we have this mini map here, and it has a tracker for where the player is as well. It is like I said, I'm just the map. The map itself is the full map itself is a little bit laggy at the moment. Um, so I think that's causing some issues with the map itself too. But honestly, that could be the same issue. I could just have like awful internet connection. That's why I wasn't having issues with my interaction system earlier, and now am. I actually this is my second time having to record this because I had my game crash the first time. So um so yeah, this is so I just wanted to show this off. It's a really cool map here. Definitely gonna have to do something about the lag, but everything here is coming together pretty well, and I'm excited to see how I can use this and make a final product out of it. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for sitting through this and watching it, and I look forward to showing you a final version of it. So hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.